Welcome to another episode of The Last Word on Rugby. It's the big one that we've all been waiting for since 2023. A repeat of that Rugby World Cup quarterfinal, the Springboks versus France at the Stade de France in Paris. Another milestone also coming up. Springbok captain Siya Kolisi reaching 100 tests. Should he be selected on Thursday by head coach Rassie Erasmus? Of course, we all know it's a must. He
No-brainer.
must play. Yeah, exactly. He must play. Um, and guys, John, Mike, thanks for joining me again today. Over the last 12 years of the career of Siya Kolisi, some magnificent moments, highs and lows, very highs. We're going to delve into all of that. Before we do, if you haven't yet, click that like button, subscribe to our channel at the Klats with ZA on YouTube, and then share the podcast as we bring you the latest news from the Springboks on their year-end tour in Europe. And then when the guys get back to South Africa, we'll touch base with the URC. Mike, John, a big weekend ahead for the Springboks as they look to maintain the number one spot on the world rankings, but also give Siya Kolisi that win
Yeah,
on his 100th game for them. What are your thoughts on that?
yeah. Look, guys, this game has got so much emotion attached to us. We've heard the French in their media conference this week. They've talked. They it's not really about revenge, but then in the same breath they say it still hurts. We still scarred. It is about revenge. Let's not bulldust ourselves. Yeah, they talk about retribution. They are going to be supercharged up for this game. Look, the Springboks too. There's emotion on the South African side. Siya Kolisi, a world icon in sport. I mean, not just in rugby. I mean, his stature in world sport is incredible. Emotion on both sides, but folks, emotion is not going to win the rugby game. That emotion that, like, coming out of the change room and you want to, after you just headbutted the change room wall, that lasts for 5 minutes. I mean, that doesn't win rugby games. So both teams will be feeling that emotion, and then it's the team that actually is the calmest. I mean, obviously you've always got to have that intensity that you play at, but it's the team that just keeps its head, keeps its nerve, sticks to its processes. Sound like a coach now with all this kind of cliche talk, but
Then you
honestly,
take.
it's, it's it's about the team that's actually best prepared and sticks to its plan and keeps its nerve. That is the team that's is going to win this game, not the team that is crying with emotion when it runs out onto the pitch, because that stuff lasts only a few minutes.
Yeah, it's gonna be an incredible game, and I agree with Mike that emotions aside and milestones aside, there's still a massive job of winning the rugby game. And I think it's gonna be also a clear test for the box about where they at the moment.
Yeah,
They won the rugby championship, but they basically scraped through. There was a couple of terrible results in there, especially the one at Ellis Park against Australia. So this is also sort of a clear indication about where the Boks find themselves, sort of halfway from the 2023 World Cup and halfway to the next World Cup in Australia in 2027. But I'm really looking forward to this game. It is a massive clash, and we
yeah.
enjoy these big clashes because it's the quality against the quality. It's a pity about Antoine Dupont. He's not playing.
Mm, yeah.
Um, he's obviously a massive player for France, but this is a France team, as Mike said, that will be supremely motivated because I don't think that hurt will ever go away of
No,
how
I don't
that
think
game
it will.
Yeah.
unfolded in Paris that night. It will also go down as one of the greatest rugby games
Yeah.
of our
Mm.
time.
Yeah.
The quality, the physicality, the drama, it was all wrapped in one. And if we can get 50% of that on Saturday, it's gonna be a
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think they should have dubbed that match. I know a lot of people say it was arguably the greatest game of rugby, but if we had to make it into a movie, that would have been a perfect one night
Mm.
in Paris. That
Yeah.
hopefully will be repeated on Saturday.
Well, Leighton, if I can just come in there, in France, that match, and this could also be a movie title. It's dubbed "The Nightmare of Saint Denis." Saint Denis is obviously the suburb where the Stade de
Yeah,
France is located. I
uh,
mean, that is how much it's embedded in the French psyche, the Nightmare of Saint Denis. But you know, and I've been reading what the French assistant coaches have been saying when in their media duties this week. And another one that keeps coming up is that they were robbed, robbed
yeah,
by the
yeah.
officials.
but let it go now, guys. It's time to let it go.
And yeah, look, I mean, it's a game of where the intensity is going to be off the scale. Um, I think that plays into the Springboks' hands in a way because lest us forget, we are the masters of the 1 point victories. I mean, that was the first of the three 1 point victories at the World Cup.
Yeah.
Um, and we've still got that serious nucleus of experienced players who
Mm.
are now even two years on, um, playing high intensity knockout type games. And this is kind of like this could be a World Cup knockout game. The intensity will
Yeah,
be that high.
definitely.
That is the Springboks' bread and butter. You know, with the Earbuns of this world, there, the Malcolm Marks, the list goes on and on. We've got the experience to know how to play these cliffhanger matches. France, we've mentioned that Dupont is not playing, and there's about another half a dozen of their frontline guys who are out injured. So look, I mean, the depth in French top 14 rugby is fantastic. So the players coming in, even though we might not know their names so well, are not going to be poor players. I mean, France rugby's in a very healthy state, but they've got half of their team missing from that quarterfinal and younger guys coming in who don't have the experience of these massive games. The Springboks do, and I think that is what is going to get the Springboks over the line. They know how to play these games.
And guys, speaking about that experience, I mean, it doesn't come this is as big as they're gonna get for Siya Kolisi playing in his 100th test match. I mean, it's very few guys who get to play their 100th match maybe in a World Cup, but seeing this as the French maybe have dubbed it Le Grudge in La Paris. um Siya Kolisi and hitting 100. I mean, so
Mhm.
many doubters, naysayers, detractors that wants him out of the Springbok team. But getting to 100 is just showing them that nothing you say or what you said in the past mattered to me. He led the Springboks to back world titles. He will now play his 100th if he is selected on Thursday by Rassie Erasmus against the French. How big of an occasion will this be for him? But also in the same breath, and you guys know what the box say. We can't put the individual ahead of the team on an occasion or at a certain stage of where they want to be. How important will it be to just for them to distinguish between those two things and keep themselves focused on the task ahead and not get swept away too much in that emotion that will be there?
It's gonna be difficult to separate the two for sure.
Hmm. I agree
Um,
with that too.
I, it's gonna be really difficult, and because I think the guys will also want to play for their captain.
Hmm.
The guys will also want to pull it through for Sia. He's been such a remarkable player, remarkable leader for South Africa. ever since he made his debut, all the way back under Heineke Meyer against Scotland, where he came off the bench and won man of the match.
Knocked the lights out,
And
yeah.
yeah, he just he shot lights out that day, and he's went through some difficult periods in his career. I think back to 2015, where he basically went off the boiler, but and while he was at the Stormers, I did an interview with him. I actually still have that video on my phone, and it's going to be probably great to post it sometime this week. We spoke about how the birth of his child, at the time, Nick, when he was born, how that basically changed his life, from a guy who liked to party,
Yeah.
was a man of the streets, uh, and how that basically gave him some perspective in his life, and a new lease of life. He wasn't married to Rachel then. He was still living. They were still living together, and he was also looking after his younger siblings at the time. And from then on, it was just Sia taking the next level, not only in his as a rugby player, but also as a man.
Yeah.
And for me, that everything came together for the first time in 2018, where he ran out as Springbok captain for the first time in Johannesburg. I was there for that match. And I can tell you guys now, the build up to that match, all the emotion
Yeah.
went with becoming the first black Springbok captain, and how it was let out during the national anthem at Ellis Park that day. I still get goosebumps. It was probably one of the most unbelievable scenes for
Mm.
me as a person who's been watching rugby for close to 4 decades. Um, so for me, that was just an incredible journey, and I think on this journey, he found his teammates, his friends, guys like we know he's close with Ebenetz a bit, and those sorts of guys who's walked with him in this journey. So
Yeah.
they will all be together on Saturday, and I can tell you it's going to be hell of a emotional, but it's also going to be let's win it for the captain.
Yeah, look, my thoughts, we all know about the American dream. And that is that anyone in America, no matter how humble your roots, how poor your upbringing, you can achieve anything in America. Well, I mean, we've got the South African dream too, in the form of Siya Kolisi. We're talking about a guy who grew up, not having meals sometimes. I remember his nutrient was sugar water. I mean, this guy really came from nothing. I did an interview with him when he told me about watching the Springboks on TV, in like a community center in the township where he grew up. And he saw Solly Tubalika, who came from the same Eastern Cape
Mm.
township as him, playing for the Springboks. And this light just went off in his head. If Solly Tubalika, the late Solly Tubalika, who tragically is no longer with us, um, if he can play for the Springboks, then so can I. And so his journey just, well, I mean, 100 tests later. And now, in turn, he has become the inspiration to countless people from impoverished backgrounds, knowing that if Solly could do it, then Sia said, if Solly can do it, I can do it. Now there's all these people saying, if Sia can do it, I can do it. And what a magnificent legacy is that. The other thing I'd just like to say about Sia is I have been fortunate to have been covering rugby throughout his career. And yeah, John, you're right, he has had some lifestyle changes, but in terms of his ego and the person who he is, he hasn't changed. He's still the same Sia. I mean,
Yeah.
yes, over the course of a 12-year career, you grow older and you go through phases in your life, and things that were important for you when you're a young man are no longer, and you change. But in terms of his ego, he has remained the same guy, and that I think is just magnificent. I mean, and we as South Africans sometimes don't appreciate just what a global superstar he is. I mean, he is huge. So that, yeah, that the fact that Siya has kept his humility is testament to the man he is.
Yeah, and I don't know, I've experienced less Springbok captains than you guys have, but my journey started along okay, I was fortunate when I had John de Villiers in Cape Town, so we kind of knew him as well. But what stood out for me is that whenever Siya Kolisi enters a press conference, he
Mm.
would walk up to every journalist in that room and he would greet them by the hand and ask them how they are doing. Yes, I've greeted because I worked with John in Cape Town, so that would be a natural thing. But some of the other captains I've worked with in my 15 plus years in the industry, I haven't experienced that. And yes, maybe it's because we didn't work together as much as whether they were in Pretoria or Durban or whatever. But that of Siya when he enters that presser, and you can see where he gets it from because Rassie is the same. He greets everyone. Um, as he comes in. Sia did that at the Stormers already. Um, but it speaks to what you just said about him, that humble guy, that he's got the world of time for anyone who is around him. And yes, sometimes things like that can get a lot and but he does not stop. He smiles, he stands to take a picture and that is just the guy off the field that people have come to know, and then just the way he interacts with the referees as well. I watched a certain Green and team go head to head this past weekend, and how the captain of the one green team was shouting at the referee with decisions that he didn't feel should have gone his team's way and not the black team's way. It's those
Just
small
say
things
island,
that you pick
man.
up.
Just say island.
Look, the box must still play them, so I want to keep it under wraps.
We know who you're talking about.
But yeah, it's those small things that just makes Sia this great leader that I think the world hasn't really seen over the last 30 plus years of since when the Boks returned to international rugby.
And not only that, him being, we spoke about this leader and this great example for South Africa, but he is also a fantastic player, and I don't know, in some sort of parts of this country, some groups of people in this country don't appreciate him, and I don't know why. Because we've seen it over the last since 2019, 2018, that when he doesn't play, there's something missing with the Springboks.
Yeah, you're
There's
right.
uh, there's something missing. There's a spark,
Mm,
and that's normally because he does the work which nobody else does. He gets to the breakdown first to protect the ball. He makes those big hits in the trams, in the vacuum, sorry. Then he's also awesome with ball in hand in the trams. He's just a phenomenal,
yeah.
phenomenal player. And for me at this moment, there isn't that sort of player in his position. He plays open side, and there are guys that are maybe better fetchers.
Mm,
There are guys that are maybe better ball carriers. But there isn't a guy who can do all of those things
Mm,
at the same quality level. And for me, that's why he will also go down
yeah.
as not only one of the great Springbok captains, but one of the great Springboks.
Mm. And John, I think what you're alluding to there by saying in some quarters there are people who like to criticize, and I think that's a classic example of what they call in Australia tall poppy syndrome. I mean, he's head and shoulders above the rest, so he's a target.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There's just some cynical people who want to have a go. Tall poppy syndrome. I think that is a good way of putting it. Yeah, in terms of you're right, his strengths as a player. Yeah, he's extremely versatile, and I mean, and he's so strong over the ball. I mean, he's got biceps like watermelons. I mean, when
You would
when
know,
he
Mike. You would know.
he's extremely strong. And his ball carrying as well. I mean, just the last few games now we've seen he's suddenly he's got that spark to carry the
yeah,
ball again is back. And he's a hard man to stop. I mean, those thighs are like baobabs, man. I mean, he is a strong rugby player, and I mean he's now got 99 tests behind him, so he's got that experience. I mean, he reads the game so much better now than when he started. But who wouldn't? After all that time, you get to understand the nuances of the game. He can now read a game the same as Richie McCaw would read a game towards the end of his career. So I would say that the Siya right now is a complete loose forward, a complete rugby player.
yeah. And those naysayers and detractors will be I think they dying down in numbers, most definitely. They are becoming a species that's slowly being either rooted out or they are converted. But they shouldn't be surprised if Siya makes it to 2027 and he captains the Boks to their third title. I want to say back to
Mm,
back to back. And then,
A
yeah,
three-peat.
yeah, and then a record fifth one for South Africa in international rugby. Guys, we can sit here and go on for ages and ages about Siya and his 100th test, but we also need to look at the game on the field. It's gonna be an absolute cracker. It's gonna be madness. Where I feel it will it will come down to is the scrums, the lineouts and rolling mauls, and that kicking game of the two teams. The kicking game into space, not just
mm,
kicking game to kick. And then selections, very vital. Ox
mm,
Nché is out. Who are you going to get in as
mm,
the backup number one? Lucid. Um, Damian Willemse should be ready to play after a small thigh injury. A hammy. And then that fly off. Do you keep
mm,
Sasha 10? Do you have Mani at 10? Or there's Andre? And then you leave Sasha on the bench to cover that 10, 15 for if something happens to touch wood to Damian Willemse.
yeah,
There's a whole lot of. I think that's also why
yeah,
Rassi postponed his team announcement from Monday
yeah.
to Thursday and not having it on the traditional Tuesday. Mike, if you can
Yeah.
touch on that.
I'll kick off. Yeah, look, so we know we're 2 years away. It's 2 years since that quarterfinal in Paris, and we've
Yeah,
spoken about how the Springboks still have a nucleus of experienced guys who know how to play the big games. But there's one major difference from the Stade de France 2 years ago, and that is that in that game, of course, Andre Pollard was the 10, and he very coolly kicked us to victory, and he will be in the annals of South African history forevermore because of that. But times have changed. The Springboks have evolved. They didn't have Sasha Feinberg and Gomazulu 2 years ago. They have him now. And, and I'm certain that they'll start with him because they want to. I mean, the Springboks have evolved from 2 years ago, and Sasha is absolutely key. Will Andre back him up? I don't think so. I've got a feeling they're gonna go for broke with the attacking game and have Marnie backing him up. And that is the big difference from that 2023 victory, is that we've moved on from Andre. And I don't say that with disrespect to him, but the Springboks game plan has changed. And I think the French will be very nervous about Sasha.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see because the beauty of Rassie Rasmus is you never know what's gonna happen. I mean, they said they were gonna announce a team on Monday, and then they canceled it, and then we thought maybe Tuesday, and then now it's Thursday. So it's incredibly hard to sort of figure out what they're doing. And if we're struggling with that at the moment, imagine the French. It takes me back to the 2023 World Cup also, because they normally did the same when announcing the team on a Tuesday, and for that specific quarterfinal, they announced their team on the Thursday. Um, and the way I see it, I'm hoping that we see Kobus Reinach and Sasha again together at
Mm,
as the halfback pairing. Um, with Damien Willemse, if fit, should start at fullback. I've got a sneaky feeling we might see Sasha at fullback maybe this weekend if he's not fully fit. And then Andre at fly off maybe. That could also be the case. So you never know what's going to happen. But I think for continuity's sake, from what we saw in the Rugby Championship with Kobus Reinach and Sasha Feinberg and Gomezulu, they were the best halfback pairing for the Springboks during the tournament. Damien
yeah.
Willemse is a shoe-in at fullback, and then you've got Cheslin Colby moving to his preferred wing, with either Ethan Hooker or Kurtley Arendse coming in. I think what's
Yeah.
going to be interesting for me is the front row selection. The fact that Ox Nché is out is obviously a massive blow. He's
Mm.
Mm,
one of the best rugby players in the world, not only one of the best props, but one of the best rugby
mm,
players. And the fact that they called up Asanati Klabakani tells me that Thomas Tutoy, we could see him this weekend packing down at loose head, either
Yeah.
off the
mm,
bench or starting uh, with
yeah.
uh, with Wilco Low and then maybe Zach
Mm,
Porter or Asanati coming in
mm,
and tight head. That's
Mm.
going to be interesting for me, that selection in
mm,
the front row. There's also no Jan Hendrik Wessels,
yeah.
as we know. So we're going to have Malcolm Marks at hooker and probably Johan Grobbelaar, I guess,
Mm,
uh, and also backing him up. So those are going to be massive selection headaches for Rassi
mm.
going into the match.
If I
Yeah.
can just add on to what John was saying about the front row, yeah, and Russia's got some serious conundrums there. And John, you spoke about what a loss it is that Ox is injured. You know, a feature of the Rugby Championship was that the Springboks had a steady flow of scrum penalties coming their way. In the first half, it was Ox winning them, and in the second half, it was Volko coming on and winning them. And they were, I mean, that is a fantastic form of possession to get is those scrum penalties because you can kick for territory or depending on where you are. I'm not, so to lose that kind of, I mean, they dovetailed perfectly, Austin the damage in the first half, Volker the second. But unfortunately, injuries happen. A name we can also throw in the hat there, Bowen Fenter. When he has played, he's played well. He was pretty good in that Durban test against Argentina.
Yeah.
So I mean, Gerard Steenakamp is also back in the mix. Fortunately, Russie's policy of rotation and depth building is now standing him in good stead. Because I
It
mean,
is. Yeah.
to lose Jan Hendrik Wessels and Ox, but still have plenty of good options. That just underlines why
Mm.
his policy of rotation is so good. And just on Jan Hendrik, I just think that is, yeah, we won't get into the whole, injustice thing, but just on the loss of him, because that guy is rapidly evolving into a magnificent rugby player where he could either be the next Malcolm Marx or the next Ox Nché, kind of thing. I mean, he's like the perfect hybrid front row forward, and to not have him on this tour is such a pity. And yeah, I don't think we've heard the end of what's going to transpire with him the ball, considering maybe going to an Irish court too. But the damage is done. He's not on the tour. Um, yeah, so front row options for Rassie.
Yeah, and that's the other thing about this team is figuring out that number 13 jersey. I
Yeah.
mean, next to Damien de Lende, Kainan Moody did well in one game, but then Jesse Kriel returns and he also does well. So who do you select? And because if you select one or the other one will lose out. He won't play
Yeah.
because there's just too much other quality players to have on the bench, utility wise as well.
Yeah, that's that's the big problem. But it's a good headache to have. You've got
Totally.
two quality players in each position, sometimes three in a position, which we've seen at fly off at the moment. So for me, it's keeping the French guessing definitely.
Yeah.
They won't know who to prepare for. Are we preparing for Jesse Creel? Are we preparing for Kane and Moody? So if the one plays, are they gonna play a different game? If the other one plays a different game, it's incredibly frustrating if you're an analyst and you're trying to come up with sort of plans how to counter the box. And that's, I think, precisely what Rassi is probably hoping for. While he's got tough selection choices to make, he's obviously also keeping the French sort of guessing as
Yeah.
well. And that for me is also classic Rassi at this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and this 13 debate, if you like, let's not forget that at the start of this season, Jesse was kind of, I wouldn't say the golden boy, but I mean he was the captain. He captained the team in those first games of the year. That was the or is the stature of him. But the competition in the Springboks is so fierce that even a guy of Jesse's experience and ability and fitness and conditioning, I mean, this guy steps off the cover of Men's Health magazine and onto the rugby field. I mean, there's no one in. He's got an eight-pack, this guy.
Yeah.
And yet he finds himself on the outer, because there was a rotation where Kanan came in and Jesse had been playing quite a few games, got a break. But Kanan took that baton and said, I'm running with it now, buddy. It's mine. And, so suddenly Jesse's out of the picture. Okay, he came back in, but wow, I mean, the fine lines in the selection meetings for choosing these guys. But that is exactly what Russie's plan has been all along for a couple of years, and he's getting there. And I imagine what it's going to be like a year on from now. We've still got 2 years to the next World Cup. It's
Killers.
fantastic headache to have.
If we can move to what we've all been dreading to do. I was very boisterous last week when I said box by 40 to 50 plus against Japan. I knew that was going to happen. It was easy to tell. But this week I don't see it being anything bigger than 4 points, guys. It might even be another 1 pointer at the Stade de France, and I'm going 1 pointer in favor of the Springboks. I don't know what you guys have cooked up there for us with your prediction.
John, your turn to go first.
My turn to go first. I'm gonna sort of put myself out there. I'm gonna say it's gonna be more than 7 points. I think the Bucks are gonna roll into Paris and they are going to dominate. And I think we are going to see a clinical display from the Springboks. Besides the 2023 match, if we can take you guys back to the last time they played in Paris, where the Box had 14 men and they fought valiantly, even against the ref that day and against the French TV producers who didn't show
Yeah.
the replays. So I think there's still some hurt from that from the Box as well. And that day the Box were just top class. So they actually over the last couple of years they actually have a good record in Paris. Um, If you remember, Bongi scored a maul try in the last minute also in one of the previous matches away there. So I'm gonna go Box by 10.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to give you a specific number. I think this is a 23-19 game in favor of South Africa. I think it's going to be fairly low scoring, very tense, very tight struggle, box by 4, 23-19. You heard it here.
yeah. There you go, guys. You've heard it here first from John, Mike, myself. The box will pull off a Louvre heist, just like the one that happened in October. They will again, just like 2023, steal the French crown jewels in front of what we predict a packed and sold out Stade de France. They will have French rugby in another crisis 2 years out from the 2027 Rugby World Cup. And Siya Kolisi will be one of the few Springbok captains who taste success in his 100th test match. That is what the guys are predicting. Let us know what you say. If you haven't yet, click that like button, subscribe to our channel at the Clutch ZA on YouTube, and then give us your thoughts on Saturday's game. It's a 10 past 10 kickoff. I know a lot of people will watch that game in very good spirits. Luckily, it is not a Sunday or a weekday game. So whatever you do, enjoy it responsibly, celebrate responsibly, and yeah, we are all looking forward to a cracker of a test between the Boks and France. Mike, John, thanks again for your inserts, your picks. Although it's a bit tricky to do it, John. I like your picks. I like it.
Okay.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.